Strelok actually lost his first match, so he is 3-1 in the division. So for Ganzi to win this, he will be tied with Strelok. That'll be a great position for him to be in, seeing as obviously he wants to win it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Let's introduce our players before we continue any further discussion.
Sounds great.
In the top left corner, we have a player from It's Gosu. I know his manager is watching right now. In fact, shout out to his manager, Scott Ball, a really cool guy. And he's one of the few managers who I feel like is doing it right in esports.
Shout out to his other manager, Gretorp.
Yeah, that guy too.
That guy.
And
wait, what were you saying about the manager again?
I was saying that he's one of the guys that does it right in esports.
Yeah, same thing for Gretorp.
No bias. Vibe is going for Atri first, and he is scouting against this guy in the bottom right corner, Ganzi, the red Terran from Team Complexity, one of the underrated, forgotten Terran people. I don't know how to describe it. Just there was even a storyline. Team Liquid released 7 storylines for the MLG Spring Rain. Oh, how about this storyline? The drone's about to pick off the SUV.
5 hit points.
Going back to what I was saying, Team Liquid published 7 storylines for MLG Spring Arena. It's like, why is it that MLG never shows Ganzi's games? And I'm just like so flabbergasted as well, because Ganzi's really good, and you can tell. I mean, he's got a lot of cool plans, and Bel'Shir Beach is a map that he's not afraid to play Zerg on. He's picked this, in fact, against Zerg before. Which
is crazy. Bel'Shir Beach is normally known as the Zerg map. The expansions are away from your opponent. The push distances are very hard, but what it's really good for is controlling space and getting that momentum. And what do you know it? Ganzi loves to do that. The aggressive play, the Hellions over here, and the drop over here, and the Banshees over here, etc. So it's really good. I think this will suit Ganzi's style and Vibe's style really well. And it's just going to be a matter of, can Ganzi break Vibe's defense? Vibe wants to defend. He wants to go into that macro game area, the end game stage where he's most comfortable. And we'll see if he's able to accomplish that here on Bel'Shir Beach Winter.
Now, Vibe is getting gas significantly earlier than he has been over the past game. And now Bel'Shir Beach is interesting because the geography has a couple dynamics. First, of course, there's no ramp between the main and natural, so you have to be a little bit more forthcoming in your defense, not just as Zerg, but also as Terran. You can see Ganzi really trying to reinforce that wall initially. And the second is that the ramp at the natural is incredibly wide. And we've seen lots of crazy builds in the past in GSL, especially Roach Bane aggression we saw in game number 1, and not even maybe just straight up Bane links against Terran. So Ganzi has to be really careful, and in the past, I've seen him actually lose in similar fashion by playing too greedy. At the same time, Bel'Shir Beach, kind of an interesting map for taking a third as well. We've seen Terrans kind of flirt between the ones close to the Watchtower and ones in the bottom center. Andre, what are your thoughts about that?
I don't know. I don't have an opinion just yet on where they should take expansions. I think it just lends itself to different styles. One's a very push-oriented style. The other one's a very harass-oriented style. I don't think there's a good or bad for the Terran.
You think it's more dependent on the flow of the game?
Exactly. I do, however, think that it showcases what style you're doing based on the expansion that you take. For example, if I take this outwards expansion, all of a sudden my push is really close to your third base, your fourth base, etc. If I take the back expansion, the push is really tough, but it's very nice tucked away defensive area. So I can go and, let's say, harass a little bit more because I have that extra 10 seconds to prepare for some sort of defense if there's an incoming push by the Zerg.
We see immediate Infernal Pre-Igniter started for Ganzi, and he's going to follow with a couple more barracks. And we've seen his Marine Hellion control in the previous game. And Vibe really does like to stick on Zergs initially, but this game he's switching up. Very early Roach Warren. Now Vibe, what has he scouted of Terran? Nothing really, just as he's a fast expansion. His Overlord is about to get in position to maybe catch a peek. But what is going through Vibe's mind? Why the early Roach Warren?
The Roach Warren is a normal thing just because you want to be careful against mass Hellions at that beginning stage. I do want to mention one thing. This Blue Flame Hellion is actually a big mind game. This is not regular Blue Flame Hellion plus Marines. I would actually see him going into Siege Tanks directly after this. What he's planning on doing is showing the Blue Flame Hellions. He's not going to really be attacking. He will do little pokes, things like that, but he wants to show it and get his opponent to think it is some sort of huge Hellion build, and then he probably goes back and plays defensive. Probably something like Siege Tank plus Marines and goes into a macro game. But considering what his opponent has seen all game long, from game 1, game 2, it's been Blue Flame Hellions. That's the name of the game both times.
Yeah.
So I like what is happening, and now he's going to show it as soon as this happens. It's going to force an overreaction by the Zerg, and he's hoping to just get an advantage in macro a little bit later on.
Vibe's not biting too much of it, though, only making 2 roaches while squeezing in drones, and he actually started to layer, a huge sign of confidence that he doesn't actually need to focus a lot of his gas into units. And yeah, you know, we saw that Ganzi went for Blue Flame and immediately switched to Reactor. So he's leaving that tech lab open also just for anything else, but he's going really heavily into these Marines as well. Combat Shield and Stim started, so he's going to have a pretty cool timing around 11-12 minute mark. And this is really cool because Vibe, when he was scouting, he was looking for some key things like maybe fast third command center, maybe, you know, the Reactor Hellions, but he didn't actually see any of those things. And now he's pretty unused to it. As you can see, he's going for a lot of upgrades. He's going for Infestors as well, which is actually a very good choice given the composition.
Yeah, I think Vibe is in a great position, actually, based on how long it takes Stim and Combat Shield to finish. Now, it all depends. Does Ganzi actually leave before he moves out into the middle of the field, or excuse me, before the upgrades finish, or does he wait off? And I think normally Zergs or Terrans will wait off until those upgrades are finished and then push out. That will be critical because he needs to take advantage of maybe the 30 seconds that his opponent doesn't have those critical units, the Infestors, out in the field. But right now, I think Vibe is actually looking really good to take this game.
The one thing that's really starting to help Vibe in the mid game is his creep speed, especially in 2 directions with his queens. It'll really give him heads up about any incoming pushes. We see the Hellions squirting on by. And, of course, that's not the whole pack of Hellions. Ganzi gearing up for everything. But this is looking like such intimidating force, trying to line up that 11-minute stim. And you can see, yeah, Vibe is not necessarily the most prepared for this yet. But we see 22 Zerglings in production, trying to see if he can catch it. No, he's going to ramp up everything for this. So he's blowing all of his larvae immediately, trying to ramp up to it. We see the medevacs also there, which signify a very strong amplification to the Terran army strength. And a huge stim from Ganzi. He's moving forward here, but he's losing valuable time on that stim.
Yeah, 30 additional units are in queue, but oh my god, the roaches are actually blocking all the Zerglings. Great Hellion position and is stopping any of those units from really doing any damage. Now additional Zerglings are going to come in here and probably clean all this up. Very well played by Vibe. He's going to back all these units out. And Ganzi's infrastructure behind this is kind of weird. He has just gone for the 1-1, which will kick in now after the fight is over. Yeah. He doesn't have any natural progression. His armory, I was watching that the whole time, wasn't even made. So he needs to make something of this. This whole time, he was planning on trading very efficiently and then having his 1-1 start to kick in, and then he gains a lot of momentum, But now that the pathogen glands is finished, Infestors are inbound, Hive Tech is coming out here, and this looks so good for Vibe.
Let's take a look at let's take a look at this drop in the bottom left corner. Or actually, and we do see, I'm getting confused, man. They're like, let's show the replay, but the drop here from Ganzi, he wants to be constantly aggressive. Now, this is the name of the game. Guys, we'll show you that replay later on, but big fungal. Vibe is to pay attention close with the entire time, and now Ganzi realized he may be in a lot of trouble because originally he was going to drop in location. You could see that at the time he estimated he didn't need to pay attention to the drop, but completely exposed. Vibe now able to catch those units, but at the same time, look at how strong Terran army is with 1-1, able to really take out a significant amount of units, finally cleaning it up. But Vibe also lost a lot. He thought he could clean up much easier.
That was a huge pop. On top of that, he retains all the Infestors. What does Ganzi retain after that? The medevacs. Or nothing. The medevacs are so important. That gives him the ability to have some sort of momentum, some sort of rolling advantage where his Marines and Marauders never die, even if you have Infestors on the field. It really forces the Zerg to get some sort of Baneling count. But 2-2 is already finished. That means the upgrade advantage goes to Vibe. He's looking so great. He has the composition advantage, upgrade advantage. He just needs the army advantage, which he does not have right now.
And right now is the moment he'll have to consider with another huge push here from Ganzi. Keep in mind, that these pushes will eventually get less and less effective as more infestors come out, and he's able to really lock them down, and Ganzi knows this. And the reason why, guys, you know, you may be saying like, oh, they kind of failed trying to get the replay in, but that's the whole point. Ganzi goes for non-stop aggression in TVZ, loves being very in your face, and if Vibe isn't careful, Ganzi can get a fantastic position and really take out this hatchery. At the same time, he's just going to try to lock it down.
Yeah, maybe not. These fungal growths are going to be immaculate. Now, he should not be engaging with these Zerglings, though. That's a big no-no. These fungal growths are doing enough, but you need to lock this down until those medevacs die. Remember, those are the rolling units, and now Ganzi was able to take a very efficient trade right there. His infestors and drones are going to evacuate out of here, and look at that. The hatchery might actually go down. Yes, it will. Ladies and gentlemen, Ganzi might be coming back into this game with pure positioning. Vibe just overstepped his boundaries a little bit too fast.
Oh, he's not really. He's trying to save the medevacs and also get them in position. That hatchery is so weak, and the Mars do manage to pick it up. And the infestors are out for revenge. You can see fungling anything they can see, spending energy almost immediately. And Vibe, he's actually just going to let those medevacs go from that point on. You can see the reinforcements more than enough. And Ganzi, oh, a huge catch as well. Some of those medevacs will end up dropping. And Ganzi also catches sight of the attempted 4th base, which is also really key because it's very exposed and not in the range of protection of the creep.
Exactly. Now 3-3 is starting up for Vibe. That's a nice little head start that he has over his opponent. 2-2 is about halfway done. That third is kind of out in the open, but unfortunate for Vibe at this point. He had such an amazing advantage. I feel like if he just gives up the hatchery, goes for the fungal growths, and just whittles his opponent's army down, he would have had so many more Zerglings and been able to capitalize off of this. But as it stands, I think Vibe is actually going into very murky territories. He should not be engaging over here.
The position from the flank, that's going to be a huge factor as Ganzi trying to see if he can close the gap between these infestors, and every infestor lost is a huge detriment to the late game prowess of Vibe, and he's lost 4 infestors, now 5, 6, and oh no, Vibe's going to lose more. As you can see, he's losing a lot of traction he gained, and just like that, there was 6 infestors that was taken out for a relatively cheap price.
Yeah, you can't be doing that, especially with the amount of hatcheries that he has. I mean, knowing that he lost his 3rd hatchery, he has a very reduced amount of units. Not only that, his composition has been consistently countered. So I'm not sure why he went to press in there. Blue Flame Hellion has a great response to this infestor Zergling style. And with this, you can just focus all your gas in getting upgrades and your medevacs. Still, the Adrenal Glands is finished, or about to be finished. +3, actually +3 wasn't researched. Oh yeah, it was +3/3. I'm sorry. It's just the carapace. Oh, that's chitinous
you're
plating.
looking at chitinous plate. Chitinous plating.
I'm sorry.
I thought it's chitinous.
It is chitinous plating.
Yeah. Chitinous words from chitinous plating. We do see that Ganzi is trying to see if he can drop into a double drop. You're right. Now this is vintage Ganzi. You know, Ganzi just loves being aggressive. You can see that this game's never really had more than a minute's rest between keeping Vibe and what his attention, pulling back and forth, dropping, pushing across the map. But the big thing that I want to commend Vibe on is his creep spread is now starting to absolutely dominate the map. You can see everywhere that Ganzi goes, he can't even necessarily take that base. That would be his 4th base unless he moves to the bottom left.
And look at this, a huge drone pup. Not only that, we have ultras on the way out. Now, these infestors need to be so careful. You don't want to push in here. Just rally up all your units. I like the Zerglings in the top left-hand corner, just keeping those drops at bay. But ultras are out in the field. 3-3 just about hit. Chitinous plating's just about hit. Everything is going right for Vibe. This is going to be a very effective defense, in my opinion. And
Vibe sending 7 infestors, 4 ultras, and a huge amount of Zerglings for 1 marine. It's like Master Chief status. It's like, oh, I'm going to take on this entire race just with 1 unit, 1 gun. So, it's crazy.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. But we see Ganzi during this whole time, of course, was employed to set up his 4th base. Planetary, a very wise choice indeed, but he has to be very aware that Hive Tech has been out for a while, and every wrong move can cost him dearly, as ultras can be extremely punishing with fungals.
Now, one thing I would love Vibe to do at this point is actually incorporate some Banelings. It's really important to get those Banelings out and on the field just so you can do that initial burst damage. But so far, we don't have that. Vibe is just clearing up a couple. He's actually missing his timing where he has the 5-3 or 3-5 advantage over his opponent who only has 2-2. And it looks like there's only 50 seconds, so a single minute left. He wants to take advantage of this time because his ultras are supercharged. It's only 2 damage that those Marines do against those ultras, and he might use it right here. Here we go. The Planetary Fortress is under a serious threat.
And I mean, I think Ganzi is just going to use the Planetary Stall for time, as a lot of his SVs do get fungal, but the Ultras are fighting without the Infestors, and Ganzi trying to split up and get a good concave, and we do see a good surface area surround here by the Ultralists, but some of them are clumping behind each other as well. Ganzi is losing a huge amount of supply. As you can see that these fungals have been absolutely ravaging the Terran army, as once a huge supply for Terran is now dwindled to just 70. Vibe with a huge momentum swing. You can see that the Ultras are still working despite 3-3 finishing for Terran.
All right, so 3-3 is up, but now Ganzi has to redo his whole supply. The good thing about it is he has all of his medevacs out, so he doesn't have to funnel that in. I would say it would have been a job well done if he was able to fungal all of the medevacs to death, but he actually went for the army. I think that was, at the time, a better choice, because he would have lost the battle very easily. But if he could have gotten those units, or those medevacs, he would have been in great position. But still, taking his 5th base, his 10 gas, is a great response. He is teching up to Greater Spire, getting the Zerg Flyer Carapace, so he has his 2nd Spire out on the field, and he is getting that Baneling Nest, so important in this in-game stage.
Let's take a look about what just happened in the battle at the 4th for Ganzi. You can see the Ultras get a good surround. The key thing here is that Ganzi felt like he had a good opportunity to set up his army. He set up for the concave, but the fungals from the Infestors definitely softened the army, so the Ultras have less hits that they need. And it didn't matter so much, but you know, during this time, we see that Ganzi doesn't even really want to fight this game anymore. He's just going to tap out and say GG.
Yeah, there was no battle. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened, guys.
It was just, it was like, hey, I'm done. I'm dead.
That's really funny because, you know, what was his name? Paul, one of our graphic artists and animation people, was like, you know, how would you guys know if a GG's coming in the middle of the replay, instant replay?
It's pretty
obvious.
obvious.
Like, yeah, it's pretty obvious if we know when a GG's coming. But, you know, Ganzi, I was actually watching, I keep my camera on his screen, and he was just, like, macroing everything normally. He sees the army on the watchtower and just called GG.
Really surprising, but Vibe, congratulations to him. That was a very well thought 3rd game, and he was able to take Ganzi, the TVZ specialist, pretty nicely. So congratulations to him. I felt like he had a nice advantage in all 3 games, and he really brought it to his opponent. He's going to take the win and the $150 prize purse.